Hey everybody, as always, my name's Chris Tharp, and today we're doing a follow-up on that world building in Unity 3D video. Really what we're doing here is taking an overlook at the terrain editor and some of the preview package tools, which are really cool. I messed with the terrain editor when it first got released, and you could do a lot of cool stuff with it, but you did not get the results that you'd get with the current tools in place with just a couple brushes and textures. Really not much. So I've opened a new Unity project here. I've named it TTUT, and I made sure to select 3D project. So you want to make sure to do that, and I've downloaded a couple packages. So if you go up to Window, down to Package Manager, and within your package, so it might not all pop up at once, but you want to make sure you have all packages selected, and then also you want to click up here and make sure you have Show Preview Packages. These are things that haven't officially been released, but they're on their way and they're doing okay. And this particular one is really nice. Let's see, we're going to go down to the T's. Terrain Tools Preview Package 2.0.2. That's what you want right there. And you just want to gonna click install there. And also, if you want for later, we're hopefully gonna be using the post-processing tools, so you can go ahead and get that as well. You literally just select it, and then this will say install normally. Alright, next we're going to get our standard assets from the Asset Store. So you go up here and click this tab. If this tab's not here, you can go up to Window and go down to Asset Store. Click that, or Control 9. It'll pop up. And you're just going to search for standard assets from Unity Technology and import that. That saves us a little bit of time already. We're doing great, guys. Alright, we're going to go up to Window, down to Terrain, and select Terrain Toolbox. You have a bunch of basic settings here, but we're really looking at an overview of the tools altogether, and this is a little more technical in here. So, we're just going to leave everything default and hit Create. And exit out of that, and it generated this flat non-textured plane. However, it's got, sorry about that. The terrain editor in this has just a ridiculous amount of functions. It's fantastic. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. So I've selected it, the left click, and then we're going to go over to no, not that. Oh gosh, this looks different. Okay, they really changed it up on me. I gotcha. We're going to go over here to this brush. We're going to click Paint Texture, and instead we're going to select Raise and Lower Terrain. And you get a visualization here, but it's going to allow you to directly affect the terrain. And the cool thing is that's normally a thing, and normally you have this brush or this brush, which doesn't look very terrain-like, or this brush, which is doing a little better. The new brushes are just awesome. So here's one of the new ones right there, and if I go down here to brush size, scale that up, like that just looks 20 times better than the stuff they had before. And you can literally just kind of click a couple times, make some mountains, drag, oop, a little crazy, Control Z. So the reason that's happening so much is our brush strength. So if we just take our strength down a little bit, and then we can do a drag. There we go. Not quite as crazy there. So we already have a little bit of something going on. Just going to click this over and over again to give us some elevation there. And you can use the different brushes here. They have a pretty amazing effect. And there's a lot of different ways you can use them as well. To be honest, I'm not using them optimally right here. I'm just kind of clicking them and then clicking around. And that's really not the way you want to do. You want to plan things out a little bit. But for this, you know, we're just making something that is, well, usable. You know, it doesn't have to be the most amazing thing in the world. If you can go in and build an environment, then you're one step closer to building a game. So I feel like this is all about the baby steps and, you know, getting piece by piece. Alright, so I've just clicked around a little bit and we have some rough terrain. And we can do some cool stuff. So we can go up to raise and lower terrain, click that, and go back to paint texture. And we should have some built-in ones. Some of them will be from the standard assets and others will be from the terrain package itself. If I can remember. Oh, here we go. I'm going to go down to materials. Here we go. You want to go down to layers, select add layer, and you have these presets when you can presets that you can pick from. You can also use your own textures, but they have these set up so that they tile very well, and they also, if I remember right, have normal masks built in as well. So they're pretty handy, but just in general, you can select a texture there and find us a different brush, why not, and just start painting. Yeah, you can see that normal mapping. That is nice to have that built in. And you know, while this may come off as a little generic, it's about the baby steps. Like, that's really where it's at. And hopefully soon within this channel we'll figure out how to facilitate all building a tiny game together, and you know, from beginning to end and launching. But we'll get to that point. It's a workup thing. Alright, so we painted a little bit there. We can go down and hit add layer and select something else as well. So I'm going to go for rock. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. We'll try some snow instead. Add that to some of the higher peaks. Oop. Yeah, sorry if this isn't turning out great, guys. That's how it's been working. My LMS thing turned out not so great. Usually I'm pretty good with it. Let's instead select screen here and kind of middle out that a little bit. If I remember right, you can come up here and actually affect the strength of these textures as well. Let's go down, add a new layer. Throwing some sand on the edges. I'm just clicking around, adding some variance here and there. If you experiment and have a little bit of fun, maybe try it once or twice. You're probably going to get a better result than I'm getting right here. Alright, so we got a little bit of something there. I will note that the 500 by 500 that we chose within our terrain window is a little small, but I guess it depends on how you scale things, but I find it to be a little small. So we got some basic mountains, some lowlands. Let's populate this environment. And what we're going to do is go to paint trees, and what we can do is we can actually like paint trees with a brush, which is pretty amazing. So you go over here to edit trees, select add trees, and nothing's popping up, but I know we have some in our standard assets. So I'm gonna scroll through here real quick. Let's see what we can find. We'll just try Palm Desktop. Add. There we go. Now whenever we click and drag, we are literally painting these trees. And most of the time, something like that strength or the density, that's going to be too much. So you can come in here and lower the tree density dramatically, up the brush size, and then just do a little bit of something like that. So now we have these trees placed pretty much randomly, but we're able to paint in the areas that we want. And there are more trees within, we go over here to edit trees, add trees. There are more of them. Normally it pops up and knows right where they are, but this time it did not. I'm not sure why. We can find another one. Here we go. Broadleaf desktop. I'm going to select add, and now we have another tree. Same settings. I'm going to lower the density even more and lower the brush size a little bit. Just paint some of these guys over here. Whoa. Lower the density even more. Just clicking around a little bit. Yeah, I thought the scale was off a little bit, but actually these are pretty big trees. I think it's fine. It's not a big deal. So we've painted some trees in. We've got our terrain. It could use a little work, but not too bad. Another thing we're going to want to throw in is a light. So right now we have this directional light. That'll probably work just fine. Let me get it over here to where I can find it. Just hit W to switch to the move tool. Just want to be able to see it relative to our terrain. Alright. Now what we can do with what we have here is go in and add a little lake. So So we can reselect our terrain, go over here to brush, select paint texture, and then go down to raise and lower terrain. Oh, we're going to select this guy because it's a nice hole shape. And we're going to want to scale that down. Oh, look at me scaling the wrong things. Brush size down. There we go, that's probably good. And it tells you right up here, if you just want to hold control and left click, you can lower the terrain. So we're going to do that. And that created us a nice little hole. We got a couple trees in there. And if you want to clean that up, you can just go click on the trees here and then select the tree type that's in the way. And if I remember right, it's, oop, that's not right. Hold control and left click. There you go. You can just drag over them and erase those trees that are right up there. Because you don't want any trees coming out of your water unless you planned it that way. And just for funsies, we can also go over and select raise and lower terrain, go down to paint texture, select sand, and then just paint the sand in. It's not too bad. Alright, another fun one. Just selecting this so I'm not in the terrain tools anymore. Down in the standard assets, you can click on that folder. Go over to environment, water. And I like this water 4. So select prefabs, water 4 advanced. Why not? We're not building for mobile or anything. And just click and drag it over here. And then you can move it around and scale it. It actually reacts pretty well naturally without having to set anything up. You can already see the screen space reflections right there, which are fantastic. Get it about the right level, and then gonna hit R and scale it up a little bit just so we don't have any cut off corners that are weird. So we have ourselves a little lake. Obviously you could use these tools to build some really interesting stuff, especially if you think about the layout ahead of time. I did not. I'm just throwing things together to help show you how the tools work, and if you're unfamiliar with them, hopefully this will help you get started on your way to be able to build things. But you can build really cool stuff. You can have rivers and valleys, mountains. Obviously I threw some snow up here, but those are not to scale. As you can see, I mean, I guess it's possible if it's just a cold environment in general, but normally you would want things to be a little larger. I guess it depends on your project or what you're working on, but this is not the optimal terrain that you can generate. This is just a show of the functions of what you can do. Anyway, we got that down. Let's add in a little bit of grass here and there. So I'm gonna be a crazy person and just, there we go. Look straight down at the terrain, and you can actually do that when you're in perspective mode. You can just click your axes right there, and it allows you to look at it however you like. It is pretty nice. So this is our terrain from the very top. Like I said, it's not super complex, but what we can do, select our terrain and go over to paint details. And I've experimented with this in the past. I'm getting back into it, but you can do a lot with this as well. You can use it to add rocks, mushrooms, grass, bushes, all sorts of different things. But we're just going to do some grass. So you go down here, go to edit details, you can select Add Grass Texture, and then if you come up to Detail Texture and select that, there should be one or two in here from the terrain assets. Sorry about that. Here we go. Really, any of these will do fine. Some of them are a little nicer than others, but we'll just select one and go down to Add. And we can come down here and affect our brush size, which I'm going to make it pretty big. And just throw some grass right into these general areas. Now you can't see it here because it automatically has an LOD, which is also very nice, especially if you don't know how to deal with that type of stuff. But if we just come down here, close to where we were just painting, you can see it render in. Oh geez, it's really horrible looking. Yeah, let's fix that. Sorry guys. There we go. That's more like it. Sorry guys, I selected the wrong one. Oh. I am not going to edit this either. Okay. So we got a little bit of grass. Let's see what things are looking like through our camera. So I'm just double clicking on our camera to be able to orient our view around it. And then I'm hitting W to be able to move it because it's way out of line. I got this nice nice little lake with some trees and whatnot. We might as well move in on that. Now, if it seems like I'm moving around like crazy, I apologize. And if you don't remember how to use any of these functions, I would refer you to my Getting to Know Unity video, but I'm just essentially right clicking and moving the mouse for orientation, and then you can pan by clicking in the mouse wheel, and I just selected up here the rotation by hitting E. So I know it's a lot going on at once. If you are completely new to this stuff, which if you're not, then this probably isn't the video for you. You probably already know all this. But anyway, we're going to rotate our camera right there. And in the vein of that, side note, I just selected that particular axis. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is just get a view from our camera. So we're going to go over here and click Game after we've orientated our camera. And that's actually not too horrible. Gosh. Look at that pixelation. Select our resolution and see if we can bump this up a little bit. At least 1920 by 1080, yeah. That's a little better. Just get our camera into a better position. Hitting W to affect the movement. There we go. Let's take a look from our camera position. And that doesn't look like too bad of a start. Can hit play. You see our grass naturally reacts to the wind movement, and we can actually set our trees up to do so as well. They might automatically. Select scene. Alright, the last thing we're going to do for this chunk, it looks like we're going to be dividing this up into a couple chunks. The last thing we're going to do for this chunk is go over here and select our directional light and just put it in a position that feels appealing to us. So I'm going to go for E to rotate like that. I'm going to go for kind of a silhouetted sunset look. W to move. Not that the actual position matters in directional light, but it helps me visualize what should be going on. Alright, we're going to rotate that like so a little bit. And we'll see how that goes. Game. There we go. Can actually see our sun a little bit. Let's bring it down a tad. Oh, sorry. Look at me doing that again. E to rotate. That's probably too much. There we go. That's got kind of an interesting feel to it. Now, what we can do just to spice up our results on just this is go up to Window, go down to Rendering, go to Lighting Settings, and we can hit Generate Lighting. Now, what this will do is any lights that are baked, it will map out where their shadow should be, and it can get you a nicer effect. It may take a second. Oh, being a little crazy. You can already see us, it's getting a better effect on how everything is going. And for the moment, I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope this has been helpful just to introduce you to these tools. I'll be back tomorrow to go a little more in depth. Like I said, we're going to go over bringing high fidelity images, high fidelity 3D models into Unity from Blender. And when I say high fidelity, I don't mean we're going to make amazing complex models, because that is not a thing I do. I make what I need to make to get the job done. So we're going to make some basic things, apply some textures to them. We're just going to make sure that those things come off as fidelity. And if this helped you at all, please like and subscribe. And I hope you guys come back for the next one. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.